Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, honestly, if you have like some pre-workout or like a Monster or a Red Bull, take it because you're going to need it to get through this fucking movie. Welcome to Happywax TV. So tonight we're talking about a movie called Behind the Trees. I'm going to get through this one pretty quick, so hold on to your fucking seats. It's directed by Vikram Jayakumar. It stars Vanessa Curry, Sahil Sharaf as her boyfriend Jay, Sabrit Dutta as Navin, he's kind of the hotel concierge, and Avisha Seema as Asha, she is the little possessed girl. Quick synopsis: while on a romantic getaway in the Indian wilderness, a couple from Los Angeles accidentally witness the haunting exorcism of an 11-year-old girl. They decide to rescue her. Okay, so basically, first act is we learn about this couple, Amy and Jay. They're on this romantic getaway in India at this resort. And they go on different tours and stuff, you know, seeing the landscape and the villages and all this shit. And one night they're out, just the two of them, and they come across this, I think it's called a cane field, a sugar cane field. Anyways, they venture into it, and then they witness this at the time. Well, I mean, they don't know what it is, right? But it's an exorcism done by these villagers on this little girl. And, you know, I guess if you were to, you know, realistically witness this, you would think that this girl's being abused, right? And Amy, being a physician, sees this just as that, because after the villagers are done, they drag her off and then lock her in this fucking iron box that's in the middle of this cane field. So Amy, being a doctor, you know, says to Jay, like, we gotta fucking save her, right? So that's what they do. They break her out of this box, and then they take her back to the hotel. And that's pretty much the first act, going into the second act. You know, I'm gonna say the good first is, okay, I like I'm not sure what cameras and lenses he used to film this movie, but I do appreciate that, because I don't think this was well, I know it wasn't a very big budgeted film, but it didn't look cheap. If I'm going to give it any credit at all, I do appreciate the fact that he dumped a bunch of cash into good lenses and a good camera setup. So, and it pays off, you know, as far as the look of the film. Okay, and there also is some cinematic shots where he has like overhead shots of the forest and stuff that look pretty cool. So I'll give him that. But I mean, this is his first feature-length film as far as I know. And I'll tell you, man, like, that good aside, like, this movie is fucking boring. I'm telling you. Like, God, honestly, and I'm not over-exaggerating. And again, like, even before I get into this, like I always say, go watch this film. No matter what I say about this movie, whether you agree with me or not, you know, go watch the movie, because this is just my opinion, okay? And decide for yourself if I'm over-exaggerating. But God, honestly, they're going to lose probably 80% of their audience, you know what I mean, in the first act alone, going into the second act. It just drags on. It's only an hour and 26 minutes, and it honestly feels like a 3-hour movie. Like, wow, there's dialogue in this movie. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, you can just tell it's inexperience here. And, you know, there's no gore in this at all. And there's no special effects, which I can appreciate. He uses, like, for the exorcism scenes and a couple creepy scenes, he just uses, like, I don't know, like camera tricks. You know, when the exorcism of the girl's happening in the village, you can tell, it's painfully obvious what's happening here is he's just having her jump around and twirl her head and make goofy movements. And then when he films, or when he puts it on in the movie, he's just reversed it. So everything, like the hair whipping and stuff, all looks kind of weird because it's going in reverse. But I mean, it's apparently obvious it's being filmed in reverse. And I was like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate it, but it's just, you know, when you put everything else in this movie, like, there's dialogue in this movie that just doesn't need to be there. And it's like, again, I say this for a bunch of movies. Like, this movie is a short film, okay? It is not a feature-length film. There's not enough meat in this fucking story. Like, and, you know, it's funny, too, because there's two scenes here that take up a good chunk of the second act and the third act, where it's just explanation. You know, when they break this girl out of this box and take her back to the hotel room, there's a scene where Amy wakes up and the girl's in a rocking chair, okay? You know, cue creepy rocking chair noise for 5 minutes. But then the girl tells her the entirety of the background of how this whole thing fucking happened. Okay, and I'm like, we don't need to know that. Like, we already know she's possessed. Like, I get it. And it's like, you know, we don't need this huge explanation, but whatever, they have to lengthen out the film. And then in the third act, when shit kind of starts to go down, Naven, who's the hotel concierge, gives Jay this super long, like, just spoon-fed explanation to the background of this girl. And I like background because it makes you care about the characters more. I just got done watching a movie where they 0.0 megahertz, you know what I mean? And they gave no background on the spirit. But in this case, they give you a huge background on what the fuck is going on here, but it's so fucking long and it's so spoon-fed that it's like, you just, like, you know, like, we're not idiots as audience members. Like, it's just, and that's how it makes you feel, because it's just, it's so in your face. You know what I mean? When they explain it to you, I'm like, we don't need this. And it just detracts from the movie even more. You know, and the acting, I get it. A lot of them are probably, like, you know, haven't been in a lot of movies. And again, there's probably wasn't a big budget for a lot of, like, retakes in this movie. So a lot of this film was probably shot on the first take. And, you know, it's just, I don't know. And then at the end, okay, so, I mean, we know this is supposed to be an exorcism movie, all right? So Amy, in the first act, witnesses this exorcism. Okay, so when she's in the hotel room in the third act, when the spirit starts to come out, Amy, and she's supposed to be a fucking doctor, okay? And this, like, it just makes her character look like a fucking idiot, all right? So what does she do is she thinks that she can exorcise this demon out of this little girl. So she grabs these roses, turns them upside down, grabs a fucking glass of water and starts sprinkling water on her and then whipping these roses at her, saying, "Demon, get out of this body." And that's like, because she saw it in the first act when the village medicine man was doing the same thing. And I'm thinking, okay, this is supposed to be a doctor, and her character throughout the entire movie is giving you this, you know, character that thinks she's better than everybody else. And, you know, she wants to further her career. And then she's doing this, thinking that she can perform an exorcism on the, like, okay. You know, and at that point, like, I was already out of this movie long before that. But then I thought to myself, okay, like, this is terrible fucking writing. All right. It is. I mean, the dialogue in this movie is, for the most part, it's terrible, okay? And it really should have been a short film. Like, honestly, cut this movie down to 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour. Then you can condense everything and actually have some meaningful dialogue that actually goes somewhere and keeps your audience fucking, you know, on the edge of their seat, because you don't have a big budget for the effects, and it shows in here. But when you try and drag it out for fucking 30 minutes, it does not work. And then the ending is, I'm like, what? Oh, anyways, listen. Short film. This is a short film. Short film, shop it around, get a bigger budget, and then, you know, get some better writers on it to fine-tune your script. Throw some effects in there, at least some good practical effects, and then make the movie. Like, I don't understand why these filmmakers rush to put these movies out. I don't get it. Like, you know, and I'm going to end it here, okay? But I've had arguments online with some film directors saying, you know, if we don't put this movie out, somebody else will. But okay, in this case, okay, there's nothing new here. This story has been done 1,000 fucking times. So what grand secret are you keeping from everybody? Do you know what I mean? Like, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and then you get guys like me who sit here and then, you know, have to critique your movie, and there's not a lot of good here. So we have to fucking dwell on the bad because there's so much of it. Like, why put a movie out? You know, if I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, it drives me nuts. There is good in this movie, but anyways, okay. Behind the Trees, it's out now. go watch it. If you think I'm over-exaggerating, whatever, please watch this movie. And I guarantee you, if you don't have a Red Bull or a Monster or some fucking pre-workout in you before you sit down and watch this, you will be asleep within the first 20 minutes, half an hour of this fucking movie, okay? And it's a shame because there is something good here. But anyways, okay, that's it. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. If you haven't, please, again, go rent it and then come back and let me know what your thoughts are on this movie, guys. Behind the Trees, and until next time, stay scared.